for posterity because it'll never get erased. So, good morning, Jim. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, doing about as well as one can expect in November. So it's still interesting to say the least, in terms of COVID, estate planning, and probate. We're doing most all of our court proceedings are virtual, even when we have witnesses a lot of times, which is a whole new ball game when you're trying to question somebody and you've got a document that they need to identify, but you can't hand it to them in person like we would in open court. So, we're having to constantly reinvent the way we do what we do. What are you seeing in your world? I mean, do most of your people still communicate by phone and mail, or do you, or in person?
We have started meeting with people in person, but we wear masks in the conference room.
Oh yeah,
I do.
Always.
And
Always have a mask.
just limit it to 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
I have a board meeting coming up next week, and there'll be 3 of us, and we'll get together. Well, we're all older people and we don't socialize a lot, so I think it'll be okay.
Probably be safe. Nancy, I know in your world, there's been a big change in the way open houses and showings are being done.
Correct. We will allow one, group through at a time. For open houses, you're seeing a few more of those, and it is staggered. They can only allow so many people in, generally one group at a time. And, so that's a little awkward if if you're trying to do a couple open houses and you have to wait in your car, until you're flagged that you can come in. But it still works. We've always done individual showings, so that's not a problem. We do have, and most of the listing agents have PPE stations as soon as you come in case you don't have your own. Most of us request that you have just one person, the agent, opening and closing doors so that everybody else, isn't touching anything. We generally ask now that children and other family members don't come, just the person or persons that are actually going to be purchasing the house. So, which honestly isn't a bad thing sometimes. It's a little different, but everybody is getting through that. We did there for the longest time. People that were buyers never seemed to slow down as far as wanting to still get in and see a property. Very few. So the buyers were still anxious to do in-person tours, but the sellers, on the other hand, didn't want every person out there coming through their house and not have any tracking or, understanding on if they were COVID free or not, which was totally understandable. But that's kind of eased up, I think just with as a whole, as a nation, how we're adapting and changing our opinions sometimes. We adapt, but things are going on. I've done quite a few virtual tours for people, or an agent tour where just I went and toured and did a video and sent it, to the client, or just called them and said, hey, they have special, I know what their special needs are. This bathroom isn't going to work for a wheelchair, or the bedroom for the kiddos is just, the size of a postage stamp and it's not going to work. So I've done that a lot. And then it's easier sometimes because I can zip in and zip out, especially if it's people with a family. And used to be when the kids were in school, the parents could sometimes, come during lunch break or whatever and tour house, because if you waited till night, it might be gone. But now with everybody, so many people that, have, school age children, they can't even get out at lunch. So it's, but we're doing, thank heavens we were considered an essential business and never were shut down. Just given a lot of guidelines that we had to follow, which was smart.
Yeah. Chris, I know we've talked a lot about early in this conversation about, COVID and your industry. Are you seeing I guess the term is COVID fatigue setting in your population there?
And in regards to our residents,
Yes.
not really, because like I was saying earlier, we are still pretty active. There's activities throughout the day, so they're engaged in that. If anything else, we probably have more folks coming out and enjoying all the activities so that they can socialize safely, with their fellow neighbors and what have you within the community. So, and then again, family can also still come in and visit with limitations and restrictions. So we are, residents do wear masks now, and we of course have always worn masks. And if we are going to be around a resident longer than a few minutes, we wear a mask and a face shield. So, and I did hear just information, this was interesting, that if you have been around someone that's been exposed, but you were wearing your mask, or someone that is now, tested positive or what have you, if they say they were with you, but you both were wearing masks, you do not have to quarantine anymore.
Oh.
So I don't know if that's a universal thing or if that was, yeah, so I'm not sure. That was coming out of Bowling Green. So I'm not sure. And then I also heard yesterday, I don't know where this was, it was on the radio, that I guess where they're struggling to have nurses, that if a nurse, wherever this was, they said if a nurse is asymptomatic but positive and wears her mask, they're still letting her work.
Oh, really?
I don't know where that was, but I heard that on the radio yesterday.
That's been on television. They talked about that.
Did they?
On the news.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I just think they're just struggling, I think, to keep, someone else told me when I mentioned that to them, they said, yeah, it wasn't just nurses, it went all the way, all levels of care, just because they don't have enough help.
Wow.
Well, I know they had brought back retired, like doctors and nurses and things like that, just to try to help with the caseload.
Yeah. Now I've heard that one about the retired medical personnel coming back to work. I have heard about that.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one about letting this asymptomatics continue to engage and be, working, that is new. That's kind of interesting. When Laura emailed me about today that we didn't have a speaker, I went back and I saw or participated this past summer in a seminar geared for lawyers, but the particular segment is very applicable to this group. And excuse me, it's on elder financial abuse. And I had tried to reach out to the person that delivered it. She lives somewhere in Georgia. And I wanted to see if I could get her to come talk to the group by like a Zoom call or something. But I think she's retired, and I've not been able to get a response back from her. So I went back and was able to find the Zoom presentation from the seminar. And I've got it, I can, zero in on that part of the lecture that talks about elder abuse from the financial, say, standpoint. And I was going to go ahead and use that as our speaker for today. But I will tell you, it runs about 34 minutes. So I didn't know if that's too long of a presentation or if you want me to hold that for another day when we have other people. So that's up to you all, what you all want to do at this point, since it's just the five of us.
Yeah. Tom?
Yeah.
Have you seen this pamphlet?
It looks semi-familiar.
Well, I picked this up at Stockyards Bank, but it's a government program put out by the Department of Justice. And I've been trying to find out more information about it, right along the same lines of what you were talking about. It's financial scams on elderly people. And my company has taken a big interest in that because a lot of our wealthy clients are elderly people. And in fact, that's one of the reasons I got into being a financial planner. I saw so many people rolling their CDs over to annuities, getting 3% interest for 1 year and then 1% for the next 12 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's it is terribly difficult out there in that regard, because there's just nothing in the banking world, but the scams are unreal. And that's one of the things that Professor Radford is her name, Mary Radford. And that's one of the things that she was talking about, is all the different scams that are going out there in terms of preying on the elderly to try to separate them and their money.
Well, when I got my planner's license, half the people in the class were bank tellers. So they could sell the annuities to elderly people and get a referral to their financial planner. You have to have a 6/6 license to get a share of commission on an annuity. So they were taking a 1-day class, getting their 6/6 license, and then they would tell their elderly clients that, yeah, you can go see this financial planner in our lobby here, and he'll help you get more money for your account and not have to pay taxes. Well, most of those people are in such a low tax bracket that tying their money up for 10 years, they're dead.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Tom, time-wise, I'm good, but I would think, because you and Jim are already pretty well versed in, looking for that and understanding that, I think the topic is really important and maybe better to hold for a larger audience.
Okay.
Because I think it hits a couple of different levels in our group and elsewhere, because not only is it important for people like yourselves to be able to educate your clients, but those of us that are in dealing with any elderly person, whether it's our own families or someone in our a resident. It's a good topic for any person to know, just to be able to watch out for our own families or other people. Myself, see, I handle my mother's, financial things. And, I have to question stuff that happened, years ago. And then my father-in-law, he's, he'll fall for any scam that comes his way. And he's been hit by the annuity stuff and all of that. Or somebody at church did this, so he's got to do it too. So I think it's just a really broad and good topic for, everybody. And I think it'd be better to wait for a larger audience.
Okay. That's,
And I was gonna say, we decided not to have our second meeting in November because it's Thanksgiving week.
right. It's
Day
day
after
after
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
So right now, I do not have a speaker for our December 12th meeting.
Okay. Well, I mean, and this kind of gets back to a problem that I think is not just limited to this group. It's are people getting Zoom fatigued for meetings and everything? They're wanting to be in person, so they're just kind of sitting on the sidelines until we get back to that. And my concern is, at the rate things are going, assuming the Pfizer vaccine, which seems to be running in the front at the moment, is successful when it gets through all the training, us people sitting on this conversation, none of us will be able to get it until April at the earliest. So it's going to be a while.
I said, I'm pretty old. I may be in that category. Get it? And
Well, I was just saying people not first responders, basically, because that's the latest that I heard yesterday, is that if it is successful, the first 25 million vaccines are going to go to first responder individuals, doctors, nurses, firefighters, police, and so on. And by the time they're able to ramp up the production, we're looking for the general population sometime in April is what they're saying is a realistic timetable. So I guess it comes back around, and this is kind of a question that we've been kicking around, is what can we do to get the interest up here? Because we can certainly continue to exchange ideas. We can certainly, Nancy and I, for example, Jim, before you got on, we did a little quick networking. I've got a house that's going to come out of an estate that might be of interest to a client of hers. So we can still do a lot of these things And I'm not sure why people are not utilizing that opportunity to continue to stay in contact. Unless it's just they're just tired of, you know, all these meetings that they can't get out of because Zoom kind of cuts a lot of, oh, I can't make it. Well, yeah, you can. You're sitting right in front of your camera.
I personally think too, a lot of it might have some to do, this is just my speculation, but Fridays, I think there are so many people that cut out early on Fridays or take Fridays off for long weekends, or maybe they, you know, it's a pretty day outside and they're like, oh, I'm going to take the day off. I don't know. I seem to have good attendance for my weekday Zoom groups, but this Friday one seems to be the one that I have the less attendees on.
Now, Allison Garrett has I know one of the synergy groups
Mhm.
that you all have.
And
What day
affinity
is she? What day do you all meet on that? What day is that one?
Thursdays.
She does hers on a Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Okay. And how's her attendance, would you say?
It's
What's her
it's
average?
growing. It's growing.
Oh, it's growing. Okay,
I
what
know
are
that
the numbers?
I know Dr. Cobbin's nonprofit, they have a great attendance, the e-commerce, social media. We had
Then there's the banking, insurance.
the banking, and they had on their last one, they probably had 12 attendees, and let me think, I'm missing somebody.
Hey, Laura, how do we get the schedule of those synergy meetings? Where's that located?
Just let me know if you want to be added to the distribution list, and I'll add you to all of them.
That would be great.
Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to remember that when we were meeting in person, there was a discussion. I know one of them was, should we, you know, meet twice a month or once a month? And I thought we also talked about the Friday date as well. Am I remembering correctly that we've had that discussion before?
Yeah, we talked about all of that stuff about,
Okay.
you know, what was the best time. But at that time, we were the only synergy group.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Laura, would it be possible to have more than one on the same day? Or
Yes,
how's the office?
I do know that Dr. Lesser did that last month. He did not have, he had good attendance for his first Zoom call. The second one, he maybe had 2 on there. So he is not doing that this month.
Are these synergy groups, Laura, that
These
he's
are the affinity groups, yes.
okay?
They
Affinity.
are doing a once a month Zoom call. And rather than twice a month, they're just doing once a month. And all of them have picked different days, but none of them are on a Friday. You all are the only ones on a Friday.
Okay.
If I recall, when we were discussing how often to have the meetings and that we had decided on keeping it twice a month, but like you said, there were no other affinity groups or other things at the time. And we
Right.
had a huge, you know, it really grew. But what we found, if I recall, the reason we kept it at twice is many of the people said, I can't come twice a month, it's too much. But they were like rotating. They would come like once a month. They would come, you know, they still wanted to attend. And I don't know I know I'm involved in quite a few different little groups with Middletown and other things. So a lot of it has overlap. And so sometimes I pick and choose depending on my work schedule, you know, what I have going on with clients. If there's a topic, if it's a topic that I may not be interested in and I'm kind of zooming out, I may skip that one if I've seen those people. So I don't think there's a right or a wrong. And I know that everybody's, you know, those of us that are in sales especially, or well, you know, any of us, you may have a client that needs you at that time and you just,
Right.
that has to take priority. I don't know if going to once a month is going to make it a larger group. It might, but then again, it may cut out some people. I don't know.
Laura, would it be possible to perhaps send out some like a little survey email maybe to our mailing list, and ask those very questions, is twice a month too much? I recall the last time it was the majority, but not by a large amount, wanted to continue at twice a month.
Mhm.
And you're right, Nancy, there were a number of people who did say, I can't make it twice a month. And then the debate became, well, if we do it one day a week, how many people might we lose, picking one of the days? And then the other question would be, is it the time or is it the day, which, or both, that would make it easier for you to attend? And maybe that might give us some guidance of what's going on. Because I see the emails going out, and it's got like 65 or 70 names on it of individuals who have in the past participated and attended. But I know there's a lot of folks I've not seen in months that before COVID were fairly regular people attending.
Right.
And Kenya Whitworth is one of the ones that comes to my mind over there at Hospice, excuse me.
I think she's still working from home. She came to the our Treats No Tricks drive-through, and I think that's part of it. I think a lot of people are still, they're not in their office, they're working from home, so therefore they're not, they're not doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But working from home is pretty much what Zoom's all about, isn't it?
Well, yes, I mean, I would think so.
First of all, I would like to volunteer to do the December 12th meeting. If that's of any interest to the group. I'm taking a tax seminar on the 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th from the University of Kentucky. And so I'll be hot off the trail of taxes, and I can talk a little bit about the what's happened with the tax code this year, because there's been some changes this year with the COVID, and there may even be some more changes if they do another COVID stimulus package, and between now and end of January. So I just throw that out there if it's any interest in that.
I'm fine with it. I mean, mine is not going to change. The elder abuse thing is not going to change in a month or two. So it'll still be, if we want to do it in January, that's fine. Tax time coming up, year-end tax planning. I mean, I think December 12th, that's going to be our last meeting anyway, because we're going to have that same issue. I believe the next one is actually Christmas Day, fourth Friday. So yeah, so we basically will have one meeting in November, one in December, and then January. So that's fine. We can do that. I guess, circulate the regular channels to let them know what our topics are going to be on the next two meetings coming up, and see if we can, and in the meantime, get the, if it's not overloading you, Laura, to try to get that email survey.
Oh yeah, that's not a problem.
So that we can kind of get a feel for what's going on. And, it may be one question too, to throw into there would be, are you waiting for in person before you return? I don't know how you want to word that, but is that the thing that's holding somebody back? Is it they just don't like to do Zoom networking events? Maybe that's something we need to know as well. Then we won't be bugging them of why they're not attending.
Right.
So, I mean, just a thought. But
Laura, you might include on that also two other things. Do they anticipate wanting to stay on the mailing list, obviously, because it might be say they came once or twice and just wasn't their thing. And then you may also put on there a list of suggested topics that may interest them, if they have any ideas, or if they'd like to present something. Kind of get a feel for their interest at that point. Maybe it's a topic. Maybe they're like, I'm not hearing anything new or something I don't know.
Well, I have to admit, I'm not in any of your all's fields of any of your career fields, but I learn something new every time we get
Mhm.
together. I have never not learned something, to the common layperson that doesn't deal with the things that you deal with. But there's always
Yeah.
something that comes to mind that you think about when I hear you all talking.
Yeah,
And
and
I'm
we
sure
all
everybody
go
else
through
does too.
this. We're all going through
Mhm.
this. I know Laura personally, and I've been through it, and Tom deals with it every day, and Nancy, you're dealing with your mother. So we all have situations that this is real life to us.
Mhm.
And I think we ought to look at changing our format and to maybe instead of a whole lot of networking, just cut the introduction time down a little bit and let one member a time tell something about their field that's new or that's COVID related or something like that. And try to make it a little more timely and topical.
Well, that's kind of the format then that we were using at the beginning when we first started, because we were trying to learn about everybody's field. And at that point, we had a pretty good pool attendance. I mean, we were getting in the 20s sometimes, but a solid upper upper teens each time we met. So yeah, no problem with that. I think that's a great idea because we have new people coming in all the time.
Well, and I actually have right now 1, 2, 3, 4 guests that I've been including on our invitation who have either moved into new positions or have moved to a different facility who is not a chamber member. So I keep adding guests, hoping that, they will join us once and find out what we're all about.
Well, and that's, I think that's a good idea. Obviously, it gets new members in, number one, because when they've moved from one facility to the other, they already know. They've just got to convince their boss
Right,
to join.
right.
So, yeah, I think that's,
I
this.
think we ought to come up with some kind of marketing plan too, to let the members of the chamber and the community know more about what we do. I know we were planning on participating in some health fairs and maybe even getting a group section and having 3 or 4 tables with the members there. But
Hopefully we'll be able to do that once we get, as I keep saying, the green light.
Well,
If we ever get there.
like Tom said, that's probably 6 months to 9 months away, really.
Yeah.
And I realize that, but I'd rather it be that than backwards.
Well, I think we should start planning for that.
Yeah. Oh, I don't disagree with that, Jim. I think that's, because I assume once we get the green light, Laura, we will go back to having the September
Festival.
Middletown Festival.
We'll go back to having everything.
Yeah. I mean, everything's going to be back on the date that it was prior.
As far as I know, I've not been told differently, so.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that sounds like the way to at least try to figure out how we should try to get our numbers back up, get the interest going in, because we certainly are not lacking in topics. With everybody that's in this group, I mean, if you go, 20 members at 2 a month, that's going to cover almost a whole year before you have to bring forward. And new things are happening in all of our fields all the time. So it's not that we will lack material that is the core of this group to bring forward. So we've just got to find out what it is that's keeping people from coming here and participating. I mean, that's one of the things that really I think is really interesting about this group compared to other networking groups is that the material seems pretty fresh all the time here that we get to talk about. as opposed to other networking groups where you get to a point where it's the same song and dance all the time, and you're literally zoning out because you've heard it all the time. So I guess we just maybe it's being stuck at home, maybe it's Zoom fatigue, I don't know, but hopefully we'll get some responses back that'll give us some guidance on how to pique that interest again.
Okay, I'm sorry, Tom, but I just looked at my calendar and December the 12th is Saturday.
Oh, then that makes it December 11th.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And I'm
December
being
7th.
seminar that day, so I can't do it until the
Oh.
next meeting,
Oh, so you'll be,
sometime in January. But
Okay, so you're
Out
gonna
of
do
that, 'cause-
January.
the seminar goes from 9 to 1.
oh, that's not good timing, Jim. We'll be done.
Well, our first meeting in January would be Friday, the 8th.
Okay,
That's the second Friday in
January.
January.
all right.
And, I like the idea of what I think we should do is at the time right now, the economy, the whole country is focused on healthcare.
Yeah,
And they're really focused on elderly healthcare and indigent people and sick people. And I think that plays right into our group and our purpose here. And I think that we have a very timely product, and that's what we should be promoting to the other members, is this COVID response, and maybe even do some emails and stuff talking about COVID response with our group, because that's what it's all about, is protecting people from viruses and other situations. And they talk about so many people dying, but we know that the people that are dying mostly are people that have other complications
right.
that haven't gone away. They've just been overridden and accelerated by the COVID virus. And so that puts it right back into our bailiwick, and we become the hot topic for the economy right now.
Well, that brings up an interesting thought. Would a way to sort of kill two birds at once be to have some kind of a health, excuse me, health-oriented event? And I'm thinking kind of along the lines of maybe like a double team. In other words, the senior synergy and maybe one other group. And I'm just thinking, like Dr. Sarah Moyer at the Louisville Health Department, for Metro Health Department, talking about things that we should know. I mean, I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head here, because that's something, as you say, is a hot topic, number one, that might draw more people to attend, and it gives an opportunity for us to pitch what we do, number one, and at the same time provide very helpful, timely information, because there's, as we know, there's a ton of crazy information out there, such as this product will cure COVID and all that, silver nitrate or whatever it is that the huckster of the moment's trying to shill out there. I mean, it's just an idea based on what I just popped in my head, Jim, after you were saying that about health is kind of the focal point of where a lot of our attention is right now.
And that's what I would like to see. I'm sure hospice is really geared up to
Yeah,
educate people.
that
for
might be another one.
And the
that would
state
be
government
very
has really stepped up
good.
to educate people for that.
Yeah.
And with what we just went through, we're getting 150,000 new cases a day, and this is coming like a week and a half after the election.
Mhm,
Well, we know it's because of all the campaign rallies
mhm.
on both sides that were unprotected, people gathering together en masse. I think that we could be a good source of information assimilation or dissimulation, and like you said, talk about some of the myths and some of the cures, and get some people that are first line responders to come in and talk about what's going on.
Laura, do we have members, first of all, that fall into those categories, or would we need to reach out to, government folk? Like I said, Metro Health or something along those lines too.
Yeah. Except for hospice, well, I'll just have to do some reaching out to see who. I would love to hear Dr. Sarah Moyer talk. I think she'd be a huge draw for this group.
Yeah, and
We also have the fire department and the police department that get regular updates that we as individuals, citizens aren't privy to necessarily.
Well, I
Yeah.
know that Chief Herman just spoke back in September at our monthly chamber meeting, luncheon, whatever you want to call. I've got to find out who our new contact is at the Middletown Anchorage Fire Department EMS. The one contact that I had, our main contact, I think he has left. So I've got to find out who that is.
well, and this could be one where we could co-brand or co-sponsor, so to speak, and make it the monthly luncheon and something we do. I mean, we'd have to shift it to Thursday, obviously, if we wanted to go that particular route, but
Right.
that might be a way to do not only, again, our interest, but for the chamber at large.
Mhm.
So we can actually now go for three hits on it in
Right.
one time.
I think the other thing I would love to have folks on the Senior Synergy networking group do is maybe a quick 2-minute video from their phone and submit it to me, that we can put the compilation together and put it on our Facebook page and our website, to say this is another group that has formed with the Middletown Chamber. Please hear the testimonies from these folks as to why they belong to this group and what they're getting out of it. Just a quick, just 2-minute, nothing fancy. And that might also generate some more interest.
Good idea.
Wonder- I'm sorry, Tom, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just saying that's a good idea.
Oh, I was going to say, what if we send out, Laura, you send out a weekly newsletter, usually on Monday.
Well, we're working on that. Nicole, that's going to be under Nicole's job responsibilities. She is now out again because she's been exposed to COVID. So she just got back after having mono and was back for 2 weeks. And now she's back out for another 14 days due to COVID exposure from a funeral.
But I was thinking that maybe as part of your newsletter every week, we could have one thing from the Senior Synergy group with a health tip for the week,
Okay.
or some kind of update of what's going on. Get it from the health department, from the city, from the state, from the federal government. Or even, we could tie it in with the financial scams, because so many financial scams are dealing with healthcare now. Like you said,
Right.
you can get this miracle cure and it'll fix you right up and send us $10 or something.
Like Vegemin.
That might work. It's got enough alcohol in it, it would probably help.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I think
Okay,
that.
well, I think those are all great ideas.
And more timely with it.
Okay.
Well, I am gonna send out an email today to the group, letting them know that we met today, that we're not meeting on let's see, that's the 27th, because that's the Friday after Thanksgiving. And that our next meeting will be December the 11th. And I'll kind of put that little survey in there
Okay.
and see what kind of response that we get. And I'll ask to get that back by, I'll give them till the 25th. And then I will work on also seeing if I could get Dr. Moyer
Mhm.
a speaker, maybe do it as the chamber and as the Senior Synergy sponsoring this,
Mhm.
and has asked Dr. Moyer to speak.
Yeah.
So we're kind of making a combination.
Yeah. And I think if we put a kind of a mini bombardment of email to get, whip up the interest factor, I think that one might draw because it is extremely timely right now.
Right.
Extremely timely.
Would you all be willing to give me a little 2-minute video real quick from, just take it off your phone and then send it to me?
Okay.
Just on why you joined Senior Synergy and the benefits, what you're getting or what you're seeing or what you're hoping for?
Will do.
Okay.
I will.
Okay. It doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Yeah. That's been on my to-do list for about 2 years now.
Well, then it's time.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
Very good then.
So everybody has homework.
Yeah. Got some homework to do.
See?
I see Lynn's already doing hers right now.
Yeah.
She's doing her 2-minute video. She can't wait. I like your, is that in your garden room there?
It's my office.
Oh, it's your office. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I can see all the greenery behind you there.
well, I have big ficus trees that are outside in the summer, but you know, and I have great big tall windows in
Oh my
here,
gosh,
so it
yeah.
works. Yeah, it's nice. It's
Mhm.
nice, nurturing.
Very
Uh,
pretty.
Yeah,
Thank
very good. Very good.
So Chris, can you send a 2-minute video too?
I can.
Thank you.
Lynn, I was noticing all of your greenery as well and laughing because do you see this one little baby little succulent right there?
Oh, well, Dave, you know, these damn ficus trees, they keep growing.
Well, this is amazing that this thing's still alive.
Very good for the air, you know, plants. So good.
Yeah, tall ceilings help a lot.
Right.
Yeah, tall ceilings help a lot.
They really do.
Old houses, tall ceilings, cold windows, but it's good.
Yeah, southern exposure is the other because it gives you lots of sunlight
Yes.
to help them grow. All right. Well, with that, unless somebody has anything else, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up for today. Everybody have a nice Thanksgiving. Be a safe Thanksgiving, obviously. Stay in your pod, as they say, or with your safe family so that you don't end up having to spend 2 weeks on the sidelines being
Or in
quarantined
the hospital.
or worse in the hospital. Right.
Right. And I want to remind everybody too that we have started 3 things on the website: a member to member discount
Mhm.
tab, a job board. So if you're hiring, you can send us the specifics and we'll put that on the job board as well as our Facebook page. And also if you have any space for lease or rent, we have, quite a few realtors, and we also have quite a few developers that own the properties here in Middletown that have space for lease. So I'm trying to get that up and running. So I'm just constantly reminding everybody, whether you want to offer some kind of a free consultation. I know for you all realtors and CPAs and our attorneys, it's sometimes difficult. You all have very strict guidelines of what you can and can't do. But maybe, if there's something out there that we can put on that member to member discount page, it just gives you more exposure.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you, you too.
Stay safe.
Me too. Honey.
And
All right. Will do.
I'll see you guys in December.
See ya. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you all.
Yeah, Tom,
Yeah.
have you heard anything from our attorney down in Salem?
He told me he put it in the mail a week ago.
Yeah, I've been fighting with him for 2 months now,
Yeah.
and I don't know why he's gonna mail it to you.
I think probably to facilitate the turnaround, since when you get out in the state, a lot of times they're very, very particular about